Okay, guys, this is just a quick video which is showing a bit of the process that I follow when I'm recording a video or when I'm creating content for my website. It's all about doing a quick research which is topically focused, analyzing competitor pages, and then selecting a few keywords that I actually want to follow when I'm creating pieces of content. The idea is to make sure that the piece of content I'm creating doesn't lose the track of thoughts. So the best way for me to do that is to make sure that I organize the ideas by creating subsections of the article in advance. That way I have a sort of like a layout. Those of you who have received a few writing templates, you already know this process. But what I'm doing here is sort of like just doing it on the fly. So some of the content that I do, it would involve writing the content first as the sort of like the first draft, and then I'll go over it, formatting it, editing it, restructuring it, and then finding a good balance between a well-written piece of article than what I started with. Most of you guys, when you are given a keyword, especially like for example this keyword, the idea is to make sure that you guys, you know that this is a seed keyword, as such that you've got to make sure that you are using it to research related topics that would be helpful to somebody who is reading the information. So this is the process. I want you to sort of like just stay with me and have a look at the process, the way how I do it. All right. Now, as you can see here, I'm jumping in between Google and my writing area. The idea here is I'm just collecting the idea and arranging here from these related topical keywords that I have found. These are real searches that Google is actually suggesting for me. What I've done there is I've actually taken this keyword here, the main keyword, and then put that keyword into Google, and now Google is suggesting further related topics that I'm picking from Google that I find that would be helpful for my readers, and then I'm taking those and making them into subheaders of the areas that I want to write the article. So here, as you can see, I'm writing the article subheaders, making sure that when I start filling into the gaps, I already have subsections that I'm going to write about, and all I've got to do is just put in the information that I need to go on each and every subsection. This is very effective for me because as I write this content, it's a lot easier for me to make sure that I'm not losing track. Most of the pieces of content some of you guys are writing, they look all over the place. They are not coherent. They are not on point in terms of what searchers are actually looking for. To avoid that, following this process helps you to create really helpful pieces of content that readers are going to find valuable. Obviously, there are a lot of juggling in between pages to make sure that you get certain things right. But what I do is, as I'm doing my research and I'm finding resources that I think I can use in my piece of content, I don't hesitate to jump in between and sort of like get those areas sorted out before I forget what I actually wanted to do. And I want you guys to make sure that you are utilizing this very same system. And if you find that you have borrowed one or two ideas on a certain page, don't just copy and paste those ideas into your page and then say, okay, that's it. Make sure that you take the idea, run with it, find your own way of putting that, that idea into your own words, so that at least you have put your own spin on it. For me, I think it's important to also make sure that you understand, the subject matter that you're writing. So if this is going to be your job that you're going to do as a long-term, engagement, you guys have got to invest time in the niche area where you're writing. This is why some of you guys, you've been given dedicated categories where you are writing content. The idea is to make sure that we give you as much space for you to grow in that area. So if you are not taking time to sort of like pull out your mobile phone or your laptop and find the resources that you can read, whether it's books or other, blog posts that are written in your, within the same industry that you're writing for, you're robbing yourself the opportunity to actually improve on the kind of writing that we actually want, and we want you guys to grow with the assets that you are working with. Sooner or later, I think you will notice that we are gonna start filtering out some of the add-on skill sets that you have. If you're very good with WordPress, if you are able to to design good graphics, that's going to be an opportunity for you guys to sort of like bump up your earnings, but also take more responsibilities so that you can even earn more money on that, because we are constantly hiring more skills. People with skills are the people who actually get paid more than the people who are just writing content and then dumping it over, so that we can pass those pieces of content to other teams that actually do the proofreading, the editing, and the adding of media and all sorts of things. So you guys, you have the opportunity to make sure that you are following the whole process as it should be, but also paying attention to really simple things that you can do to make sure that your writing is far much better. Like I always say, guys, when you're writing your content, research is very, very crucial in whatever you're doing. Most of the information that you're looking for when you have been asked to write a piece of content is readily available. All it requires is for you to gather the information, consolidate it in a way that's helpful to somebody who wants to actually, read. And you will notice that it's a lot easier for you guys to sort of like run with that kind of writing, because it doesn't really take a lot of time. And this piece of content that I'm writing here as an example for you guys, I'm just doing this on the fly. I didn't really plan it very well to say, okay, so I'm gonna tackle on these issues and then look at doing ABCDE. I have a bit of knowledge in this area. I have a bit of knowledge in the industry that I'm writing for. So with the available resources that I have, juggling between, research publications, educational platforms, like here you can see I'm pulling out, related pages that I can refer to as my sources of information. Kim Chang is a dermatologist, but she's also an aesthetician, which I think helps quite a lot. She's very, very knowledgeable in terms of some of the subject matters that I'm tackling in here. And because I've borrowed a bit of available research and information from other sources, it's prudent for me to make sure that I reference those areas, and I am pointing out to those areas. So you notice that as I'm writing these pieces of content, I'm also highlighting and linking out to those sources, so that when the readers come to your page that you've written, at least they know where the sources of the information that you have organized for them came from. So that's very important. It doesn't hurt to make sure that you have a lot of more information. So do take your time to go in between educational publications, science sources, and as well as the government organizations, but they have to be reliable sources. I don't make the habit of picking content from, as my sources from all over places. I have really reliable platforms that I know they publish good researches on a lot of subject matters that we are interested in creating content. So it's important for you guys to understand and notice that that's the process. You literally take a keyword to, topic by topic, and then subheader by subheader. You copy that keyword, you paste it in Google, you pull out the information, you extract what you actually want, and then you restructure that. If it requires the writing, you go and rewrite that. If it requires expanding on that, you go and research even more information. As long as the article is coherent, well structured, and is unique, you've given it your own spin and you've written it in your own words. That's what I want. I don't want to see somebody submitting an article where they have written their own ideas and they are telling their own stories and stuff like that. I do like articles that have got personalities. Everyone has got their own way of writing, and some of the best writers we have at the moment, they realize that they have to inject their own personalities into the writing. But you've got to understand that you are providing facts, so you really have to be on point in terms of facts. If you find that you have found a helpful resource that you can borrow some information and then repurpose that, but in a different way, by giving it your own spin, go ahead and do it. But be mindful that each and every piece you take elsewhere, if you don't rewrite it properly, it's going to show up as a duplicate piece of content. So you really have to sort of like be mindful of that, and you will be surprised how much ground you can cover by making sure that you are finding spaces in between, getting information from other sources that you've researched, but also writing on top of your head. These, with time, I think it just flows out of you because you know exactly what you're talking about and you know which areas you should cover. Some of the sources that you're getting this information from are places that you are going to be visiting on a day-to-day basis. So you really do know your way around so that you can actually create a good piece of content. The idea here is really simple. What we want to see is you guys making sure that you're putting a focus on creating a piece of content that tells customers or our readers what is it, that product that you're talking about, how it works, what are the benefits, how is it used, and if you can highlight where that product can be bought or where it's available, that's perfectly fine. They don't want you going on and on and on about readers whatever stories that you want to talk about. They just want the information and they want it now. So make sure the first thing is to make sure that you're writing piece of content that begins with a very strong intro that focuses on the product that you're actually writing. If it's a product review, then you have to make sure that you are providing quick and fast information as part of your introduction of that particular product. If it's just a piece of information like this piece of content, then you should be mindful to make sure that you don't keep people waiting. You have to tell them exactly what is it that they are looking for and if they're in the right place, because that's what matters to them. Most people bounce out of pages that are not properly researched and that are not providing information that the reader is actually looking in the first place, and it's simply because they think, I'm not going to find the information I'm looking for here. So it's important to make sure that you keep that in mind. That's why I have to make sure that when you guys you're writing content, at least you understand the whole process. So that's what I wanted to share in this video. And if you found this video helpful, let me know in the group chat. And if you need more information on how this whole process works, just message me and I'll let you know. By the way, when I'm writing my content, instead of writing in the Word or anywhere else, I write my content in Grammarly. That way I have the ability to sort of like check grammar as well as the spelling mistakes as I'm writing. So that saves quite a lot of time. As some of you may have realized that some of the articles that you're writing, when they come over to us, we end up finding a lot of mistakes, either in spellings as well as in whether the paragraph was too wordy. That also sort of like gets highlighted, that probably you need to look into this because the writing tone is a bit wordy. And when you're using Grammarly, Grammarly helps you to sort of like keep that in check as you're writing. So that's really what I wanted to quickly share with you guys. So I'm just gonna let you guys run with your articles, and then if you have any questions, make sure you submit them in the group chat and we'll be able to pick them from there. All right, cheers.